Welcome to Westminster. The UK coalition government faces some tough challenges in 2011, from a referendum on electoral reform to by-elections and the budget. But can the coalition hold together in what is bound to be a difficult year ahead? Well, joining me to answer that question is our political editor, George Parker. George, just to begin with, what do you think will be the key flashpoints, the key political flashpoints in 2011?
Well, there's one coming up very soon, up in Lancashire, a by-election, the Oldham East and Saddleworth by-election which Nick Clegg and the Liberal Democrats would dearly love to win. They finished a very close second at the last election. David Cameron, the Prime Minister, almost, but not quite, giving the Lib Dems a clear run in the hope that they can somehow overtake Labour. Now, if the Liberal Democrats finish third in that by-election, which is a possibility, that would be a severe blow to the morale of the Liberal Democrats and increase the pressure on Nick Clegg. Looking further ahead to March, we've got the budget on the 23rd of March, already being billed by George Osborne as a growth and enterprise budget, to prove that the government is more than just about cuts, it's about growth as a pro-business, pro-jobs agenda. And then crucially, on May the 5th, we have a referendum, we expect there to be a referendum on electoral reform here at Westminster, a proposal to replace the existing first-past-the-post voting system with the alternative vote, something which is much preferable to the Liberal Democrats. If they get that through, if the Lib Dems get that through, that will be a huge boost to Nick Clegg.
And just how much of a boost would that yes vote be in terms of restoring some of Nick Clegg's credibility?
Well, for the Liberal Democrats, it's probably the biggest single prize from being part of this coalition government. The traditional system we have here mitigates against the Liberal Democrats. They always win fewer seats at Westminster than their share of the vote would dictate. Now, if they move to the alternative vote, on the last election, we think they probably would have won an additional 20 seats or so, additional to the 57 they actually won. A lot of those seats, incidentally, would have come from their coalition partners, the Conservatives, who equally don't like AV for that reason.
And of course we have this extraordinary situation where the coalition consists of two parties, very different views, somehow trying to present a united front. Do you think that with all these challenges that the coalition faces this year, it can really hold together?
Well, the last few months have been pretty choppy for the coalition, particularly difficult for the Liberal Democrats, who, after all, have been out of real power for 70 years or so, 70 or 80 years. And they found it very tough. And the tuition fees debate, the debate about raising university tuition fees, was particularly painful for the Liberal Democrats. Now, I suspect that 2011 will be slightly more difficult for the Conservative Party because the Liberal Democrats have been weakened by what's happened in the last few months. David Cameron has got to make concessions to the Liberal Democrats to keep them strong. He needs the Liberal Democrats as strong allies inside the coalition. And the more sort of concessions he makes, if you like, to the Liberal Democrats, the tougher that is for Conservative right-wingers who don't like the fact that David Cameron is going soft in their eyes on issues like immigration, on issues like Europe.
And finally, George, just briefly, what about the opposition now? Do you think in 2011 we can see the Labour Party pull back some lost ground and finally start to build some momentum under the leadership of Ed Miliband?
Well, you're right. I mean, Ed Miliband has made a very slow start, a shaky start. He didn't expect to win the Labour leadership. His office wasn't equipped for leadership, and sometimes his team show a certain lack of experience. And I thought today Alan Johnson, the Shadow Chancellor, gave a bit of a shaky interview on the Today programme where he didn't seem to be entirely clear when Labour would reduce or eliminate Britain's structural deficit. So there's a great opportunity there for Ed Miliband. He's strengthened his back office team. He should have some fairly juicy targets to aim at in 2011. The government's embarking on a very ambitious programme of public service reform, and if those things start to go wrong, then Ed Miliband, by default almost, should have something to go at.
Okay, well, George Parker, thank you very much indeed. Now you can get plenty more political analysis, of course, at ft.com/Westminster.